Apparently, we just can't stay away from all these episode leaks and spoilers, so this is spoilers for episode 111, basically giving away the outcome of the Dragon Ball Super 1 hour special, and the outcome between the fight between Jiren and Goku. So if you don't want to be spoiled for the outcome of the fight for Dragon Ball Super episode 111, you can check out my predictions and discussion video about the 1 hour special. There's a lot of good stuff in that, so go ahead and just check that out if you don't want to get spoiled. So from here on out, we're talking spoilers. Dragon Ball Super episode 111. Now this is from Herms on Twitter. Check him out, give him a follow. Thank you very much for these translations. He's always doing translations and things like that. So episode 111, Extreme Battle of Another Dimension, Hit versus Jiren. Of course, another dimension is probably referring to the dimension that Hit kind of creates, that's kind of ambiguous. We saw it when Goku was fighting Hit last. So obviously from here, from just this title, you can kind of speculate as to the outcome between Jiren and Goku. Obviously, if Hit is fighting Jiren now, something must have happened to Goku. Universe 6's linchpin, Hit versus the strongest warrior, Jiren. After finally going into action, the mightiest man, Jiren, has seriously wounded Goku. So there you have it, folks. Jiren essentially beats Goku according to this translation. Now, you probably should take things like this with a grain of salt, and not say, oh, this is definitive. This is kind of all we have so far. So until the actual episode comes out, or until actually the next episode preview, after the 1 hour special, this can't be quite exactly 100% definitive. So just take it with a grain of salt. Jiren next sits his sights on the strongest assassin, the Universe 6 warrior Hit. So this should be freaking epic here. What is Jiren gonna do against Hit's time skip? Goku has already, had experience fighting Jiren, Hit, so he was able to come up with tactics around the time skip. And I guess so was Dispo. Dispo did it pretty quickly, so I think Jiren could probably do it pretty quickly as well, find a way past Hit's time skip, although Hit still has that intangibility ability, so there's that too, and of course there's other dimensions. So I'm thinking here Jiren is probably gonna be at least weakened from the Jiren and Goku fight. We see the Spirit Bomb, Kaioken times 20. Goku seems to go into his new form during that fight. So whatever that form is, absorption of the Spirit Bomb, Limit Breaker form, whatever you want to call it. Moving on, Goku this week. Will he be able to master having his body react on its own? Now, this is obviously a huge clue to the new form. They have, hinted at this in the past, but it was way back in the Resurrection F saga where Whis was training Goku and Vegeta, and he mentions that Beerus hasn't even mastered reacting on his own. Basically, your body moving on its own without your brain having to interfere and think too much. So of course you are naturally able to move and fight a lot faster if your brain isn't doing as much thinking. So moving off of instinct, basically. And this is a really interesting concept. It was mentioned more in the manga, I think, but not very much in the anime. So moving on, Goku has been injured head to toe by Jiren's attack. Is it just one attack or is it many attacks? However, immediately before going down, he awakened a new power called Mastery of Self-Movement, quote-unquote, where his body reacts on his own. What could this be? So it's like I was saying, his body has, adapted or something to moving on instinct so that he doesn't think as much. And this seems to be, I don't know if this would be the new form, you would call it. Perhaps from that preview that we saw, or Goku being overwhelmed by the Spirit Bomb or something. He was overwhelmed with light, and you see that black energy coming across. Maybe that is him awakening the potential for, self-movement or just instinctual movement. And I think we saw this at some point when Goku was fighting Beerus as well. Beerus was about to attack, and Goku just instinctively jumped back because he felt that he was going to attack. So I really like this concept. I think it's very interesting. I think they should have foreshadowed it a lot more or mentioned it more integrated, or showed some of Vegeta's and Goku's training a little bit more in terms of practicing to master this particular ability. Because as it is now, without very much foreshadowing, it feels like it's gonna be a little ass-pulley. Because, you know, you have Goku fighting Jiren, going all out against him, and Jiren is obviously gonna win that fight and injure Goku. And then Hit's gonna go up against Jiren, but, you know, Goku's having this new form, so that tells us right there that Hit is probably gonna lose against Jiren as well, and then Goku's gonna step in. So Hit is kind of taking Vegeta's role in this fight in pretty much getting his butt kicked by Jiren, and then Goku with his ass pull power is gonna come in and beat Jiren with this new, like, mastery of self-movement ability, or whatever you want to call it, limit breaker ability. You know, they have suggested a lot more of the breaking your limits and limit breaking stuff, especially in this arc with Master Roshi, in Dragon Ball in general, breaking your limits. But way back in Dragon Ball, they actually did touch on this. I believe it was when Goku was training with Popo. Popo said, you know, you have to master your body's ability to react instinctively. You can't, you know, you're thinking too much, so you'll never be able to catch me. And, you know, when Goku was trying to dodge that lightning. I believe it was around that time when Popo said that. I could be wrong, but I believe that's correct. So what do you all think about this? Do you think Jiren is going to have like one massive attack? And do you think that that's that blinding white that's overcoming Goku? Or do you think he's actually going to beat him in like a spirit bomb struggle? And do you think he's still gonna absorb the spirit bomb? Because that may still happen. It's just that Jiren is still too much for that, and then after all of that, after Goku has gone so far, you know, it could be a combination of the absorption of the spirit bomb, breaking his limits, you know, his limit breaker form, and this mastery of self-movement. Could be like a combo breaker kind of thing with that, where through the breaking his limits and getting that quote-unquote new form, spirit bomb form maybe, he reaches into the secrets of mastering the self-movement, or I think I'd like to call it instinctual movement. And actually in real life, that's a big thing too. When you're trying to react to something, or if you're torn between choices and stuff, your brain gets in your way, and you can't get your muscles to move right away. So that is a pretty cool concept. I like the concept, the execution so far. You know, we've got the 1 hour special, so they can foreshadow it in that, but they haven't done very much before this. So in episode 111, if this happens, they got to be real careful in the execution so that it doesn't feel like it's an ass pull, another ass pull from Goku. You know, when he brought out that Kaioken on top of Super Saiyan Blue, that was a little bit ass pully because there was no foreshadowing or lead up to it at all. And so for this new form, I haven't caught any lead up or anything to that. Same with Super Saiyan God. When he turned into Super Saiyan God, there wasn't any lead up or anything to that. He just jumped in the frame and he's like, hey, this is my form. I haven't done it at all before or mentioned it before, but I can do it, whatever. So to me, it's going to take me out of it a little bit if he just pulls out this new form out of nowhere. So it obviously depends on how they do it. And it brings me to all of the other characters. You know, there's still a lot of other fighters. So I'm wondering if all of these fighters are going to team up against Jiren. I would love to see everybody team up to fight Jiren. Like, obviously Goku isn't eliminated. It just says that Jiren injures him. So Goku seems to be still in the ring here. I'm wondering if Jiren is gonna knock him out, but then his Universe 7 teammates jump in and save him. I would love to see that. That would be some very good teamwork, and actually something a little bit different. People jumping in to save Goku for once. Usually it's Goku jumping in to save everybody else with his new power. So and then, of course, it's going to turn around again, and Goku's going to jump in with this Mastery of Self-Movement form. What's a good name for this? If this is a new form, what do y'all think is a good name for this? So it's obviously an interesting concept. I would think he would still need to transform into Super Saiyan Blue to have the power on top of the instinct ability, because the instinct ability doesn't seem to be tied in with your power per se, or your strength, maybe your speed a little bit, but for the most part, it seems to be more in stopping your brain and just letting your body react and move naturally. And what do y'all think about the Hid and Jiren fight? That seems to be a very cool matchup, and I'm looking forward to seeing that a lot, and I want to see how Jiren is going to handle the time skip and, you know, Hid's other abilities, especially the intangibility ability. As well as the other characters. I really am hoping that they're going to have some sort of team up against Jiren and his overwhelming power. And it's going to be fun to see how much more weak he has gotten with the fight with Goku. Like, is he going to be weakened whatsoever? Or if he's just going to injure Goku like easily, man, this guy is literally like a god of destruction powered character. If he can just take all of that stuff from Goku and still, you know, even stand. So with this all happening, I'm hoping that the other characters do have somewhat of a role. You know, I hope they jump in to help their teammate Goku so that he doesn't get eliminated. So that's kind of what I'm thinking happens. What do you all think about this Mastery of Self movement stuff? Do you think it's tying into his new form? Do you think this is his actual new form? Do you think he's actually going to still absorb the Spirit Bomb if you thought that before? I'm kind of thinking that he's still gonna absorb the Spirit Bomb, but we won't see until the 1 hour special. They've been preaching a lot more the breaking your limits stuff than the actual mastering of your movement stuff. So I feel like they have to do a lot more lead up if that's gonna tie into his new form, or be the cause of his new form. So what do you think about all this in the comments below? Are you more excited? Are you a little disappointed that it seems like Goku's just gonna bounce back and save everybody like he kind of always does? That's a trope of this series, and I'm kind of hoping that they kind of turn this trope on its head, because usually we have, you know, Vegeta jumping in to beat somebody, and then he gets his butt kicked, and then Goku jumps in and then has a new ability, like the Universe 6 tournament and Kaioken. So like I said, I was going to try to stay away from these spoilers, but there's just no avoiding it with YouTube, Twitter, and everything. So I decided to make a video about it and let everybody in on it if they so choose. So thanks for watching, keep pushing those limits, and take it easy.